Welcome back once again to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am oddly Chat Show. How are you? Say that's good coffee. And by coffee, of course, I'm in vodka. How's your Sunday going? We're coming to you live if you're watching us on the YouTube or listening to us through your computer screens. How do you do the show? Write to us, damn it. KevinPollaksChatShow.com. You're going to want to put contact at KevinPollaksChatShow.com. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. I read the emails. I get forwarded the emails from the site. Don't think I don't. Don't think I have a chimp sitting at a desk with a cigar, sitting in his own dew, but wearing roller skates.
Are you referring to J-Mac?
No.
Well, that's who gives you the email. So are you calling him a chimp?
I said reads the, well, no. I think no. I think goat. Goat would be the animal that I would point at and say, J-Mac? And that's just because he'll eat anything. Isn't that the thing about goats? They'll eat anything?
Yes, I believe so.
I'm going to say misnomer. How else do you get goat cheese? You're not buffering. You're not buffering. If you were watching us live, yeah, we had a spinning wheel on the screen.
Never gets old.
No one cares. Our guest just asked, do I have to stay? Okay, Jamie, I'm looking over there. I don't see Sam Levine again. We went to a birthday gathering for him last night.
Yes, we did.
So I thought if you can go to your own birthday party, certainly you can show up here on Sundays. Maybe
he party rocked too hard.
Mini Dick. You think he party rocked?
Maybe.
Really?
No. He's still working on whatever he's working on, that web series. I keep saying it's a web series. It's an independent film now.
It's a motion picture.
It's a motion picture.
Yeah. He turned 32, which is good.
Yes.
Because the older he gets,
the same year.
The older he gets, the more he'll be able to justify needing 37 minutes to shave.
This is true. Oldest Jew you'll ever meet,
yeah.
Sam Levine.
32.
32.
You enjoyed yourself last night at the gathering?
I did very much. Because it's like, because they're all my friends too, so it's like I get to see all my friends and not have to throw the party.
Mm-hmm. If you would have voted one person off the party island last night, well, it's not important. Let's not get into it. Kenny, you had a good time last night?
Yes.
That's sort of enthusiasm I was hoping for. Yeah, it was a good time. What else happened? The mom show that I've been working on was given a second season since we saw you last. That news hit the set on Thursday, and all across the interwebs thereof. So that's exciting for those of us that enjoy working.
I thought you were going to say multi-camera sitcoms, but okay.
Yeah, no, I would make it about others eventually. Are you watching us on the YouTube, or do you pick us up later on the Earwolf, the Hulu, the iTunes? How do you do the show? Write to us at contact at KevinPollaksChatShow.com. Send me a Larry King game, you son of a bitch, and I'll send you a T-shirt. How about that? That is if I read it on the show. I've got one today to read for you. Oh, no, I don't. Come on, peeps. You're writing some shitty ones. Yeah, I tell you what you do. You get out of the gutter. You stop thinking about Larry shitting himself and his genitals. I can't tell you. Well, I'm gonna. If I had a nickel for every time someone sent in a Larry King game, which I'm realizing now I did not tell our guest about, that he'll be able to do at the end of the show, his own version of Larry King game. So I'm going to wait till then till I explain how it works. But our own Anna Ferris did it last week, and she was fucking funny. She was a lovely delight. And it is her show, Mom, that I met today's guest at. As he was kind enough to point out just before we went live today, we still don't really know each other. So I'm hoping today, after the exhaustive research, we may get a step closer to that end. Jamie, anything else to add? Is anyone staying at the house right now?
No, but...
They're coming.
They're coming.
And they just left. We had two prior.
I'm not even going to get in.
You're going to wash your hands mid-April. That's going to be it for you all through the summer.
Luckily, we have a very lovely wedding to go to the day after my family leaves, so that'll be fun.
The Jolo Trulio and the Beth.
Beth.
Yeah.
Beth Dover, yeah.
That is going to be, oh yeah.
And I just want to let everyone know that I'm a little raspy.
Oh yeah, did you?
I blew my voice out at karaoke on Friday. singing Jimmy Buffett songs.
Yeah,
Because I have a little white trash side that came out.
You were singing the most chill recording artist of the last 47 years. and blew out your vocal cords.
I sang other songs, but that's what
Dear Lord.
overdid it.
And as I explained, if it was Rod Stewart, I could understand because you have to try to match his raspiness at some point, and that would tend to fuck up with
So
somebody's.
I'm a little bit of a low talker today.
So is Jimmy Buffett. Was it Pencil Thin Mustache? Where was the
What was the song that we
turn?
sang?
Yeah, where you blow out.
Well, it was Come Monday, which is
Sure.
one of my favorite Jimmy Buffett. I'm actually a Jimmy Buffett fan because my father, Jim Fox,
Yeah, let's be clear.
would listen to it all the time, so I know. I actually won a Jimmy Buffett trivia contest once.
But you did, and you also
I
have
did.
Jim Fox to thank for your lifelong devotion to The Simpsons, since he turned you on to them.
Yes, he did. He sat me down and was like, "You might want to watch this."
Yeah, so he wins great dad for that.
Yes.
Not so much on the Jimmy Buffett, if I may.
And then, of course, Margaritaville, lame. I wanted to sing Pencil Thin Mustache, but one of my cronies at the Eagles was not familiar with that.
Right.
that song, so.
Thanks for sharing where it all took place.
What? I love the Eagles.
What? The Fraternal Order?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I believe that's all the new business, and we're on to our guest, who has a hard out 17 minutes from now, so let's get to it. You've enjoyed his work for the last 10 years. Before that, not so much. Please welcome Mr. Nate Corddry. Hello, sir. Should it be Nathan? Let's start there. My first question was, why the extra D?
Right.
But I'm going to jump down to question 4, which is, what's with the screen credit Nathan Corddry? Am I completely out of line by referring to you as Nate?
No, my proper name when I was on my birth certificate is Nathan.
Sure.
And when I was doing theater and stuff in New York, it was always Nathan. And then
If I may,
yeah.
it was always Nathan. Suggest that you put it out there.
When I would write my name, when I had to fill out my bio, when they put my name in the program.
Yeah. Can we circle back to that or get into that now?
Sure.
Because I don't think a lot of people know when you go to the theater, be it Broadway or anywhere else, and I do mean on the Broadway programs, they have a proper name. Why would I call it?
Playbill.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Program. I'm out at the Dodgers game. Watching Les Mis. The bios that you read about the players of the play were written by them, and it took me forever to learn this, having not come up through the theater ranks, but just being a fan of the theater.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a wonderful. Wait a second.
I mean, there's a very strict profile that they have to follow. They're all in the same, like a Broadway show, those playbills. All of the bios are almost exactly the same in that they start with, theater credits and then they put television and film and there's maybe a thank you at the end. They follow like a very strict sort of, skeleton. But you will get that young, like every so often you'll see a Broadway show with a child in it.
Sure.
That doesn't have any credits. So theirs will just be like a small paragraph like about, my name's Tim, and I'm just really enthusiastic about being in Lost in Yonkers. This is my first Broadway show. Tim enjoys co-ed basketball, hanging out at the JCC and pizza. He wants to thank
Hanging out.
Mom and Dad.
Why is he hanging out the JCC?
But there's a dark side of that, but he certainly doesn't put that in the program.
And why does it always have to be a Neil Simon play?
Well, there's a lot of children in Neil Simon plays, aren't there?
You did a few?
I've actually never done one. I've read them and I've seen them.
And
it seems like they're always...
You passed.
What's that?
You passed.
A soft pass on all of them. I saw the last show that he did on Broadway, Brighton Beach Memoirs or something, and there's like 7 kids in that.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're all listening to Brooklyn Dodger games on transistor radios and having and saying "ma" and "pop" and stuff, you know.
Sure.
Little scamps running around.
Scamps.
How did we get onto this?
It's important
thank you.
that you do not remember. But I do want to transition easily, if I may.
Yes.
Into, well, we're talking about Nathan and writing your name out.
Yes, yes. And then when I was on The Daily Show, I got a job on The Daily Show as a correspondent, and they... Is the set falling apart?
We're getting that earthquake. We're getting that earthquake that I told you about.
Seatbelts.
Nope.
Because my brother was working on The Daily Show. And Robert, TV's Rob Corddry, he always calls me Nate. He never calls me Nathan. And so everyone there at The Daily Show just called me Nate. And so the guy, without even asking me, typed up the Chiron and just was like, "You're gonna be Nate." And John introduced me as Nate Corddry, not Nathan. I was like, okay, I'm Nate now. Transition made. And for a second I was like, that seems kind of young, and like Nate's like a nickname. And I don't know if I want to go, it's too late now. Jon Stewart just said it live on television, so now I'm Nate Corddry.
You were knighted.
And and then when I did, my next job was Studio 60, and they asked me. And I was like, well, this is an important television show, so I'm going to go as Nathan. Yeah. I went as Nathan. They credited me for one episode as Nathan. They showed the trailer at the upfront presentation where they present the new television shows for the critics. And someone put online, "Oh, I guess Nate no longer wants to go as Nate and wants to go as Nathan because he's an actor now. What an asshole." So I was like, all right, I'm sorry. I guess I'm Nate. I forget her name. She was a New York Times television critic. And she was upset.
Because you said online, and I just assumed it was some nit.
No. The New York Times has a full website.
Sure they do.
You should check it out.
No, it's on my iPad as we sit.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
And she sort of shamed me but she was right. I was like, Nathan has more just gravitas.
Here's the part she wasn't right about. It was originally Nathan.
Yes.
And when you came from the theater, it was important to you that it be Nathan. And, and if I may, for someone who has to probably correct 94 out of 100 people on the spelling of his last name, I think you get to decide. There's no C. You get to decide how the fuck people will say your first name. Yeah. And so I'm going to only call you Nathan henceforth. But I'm not comfortable with Corddry. So now, why the extra D?
My great-great-grandfather.
That's all we have time for.
Thank you. Good night.
Great-great-grandfather from?
The Eastern Shore of Maryland.
Sure.
And he owned a lumber business. And he made his money, his father made his money in buggy whips. Whips for horse and buggies.
That you often would actually use on slaves.
Hold on a second.
Hold on a second.
Jump to me being a descendant of a fucking slave owner, okay?
Well, I've got a dossier in front of me.
What?
So.
Oh my God!
Not actually,
descendant of a slave owner.
Not actually jumping to anything. Let's throw up the photo.
Oh God!
of the original.
Just like me.
Yeah. But with a Michael Fassbender beard.
That's not funny.
Nope.
Anyway, he transitioned from buggy whips, not person whips, to the lumber business. And he was making his signage for the Corddry company, and it looked better to have 2 Ds on the sign as opposed to 1 in his brain.
Is there a chance that a cord of wood, that is a measurement of wood,
wow,
had anything to do with his decision?
Cord, dry. We got dry wood here. Because the Johnsons are on the corner, their wood is damp. Dry. Wow, that's just a maybe.
Well,
maybe.
I'm just going to float this.
Clever.
You're welcome.
It was all for marketing.
So it was really when they put the sign up, he added a D.
It looked better on the sign.
Well, that's fantastic.
He purposely chose 2 Ds. And my brother's production company, well, I shouldn't say production company. Well, the company that produces his show, Children's Hospital, which you are familiar with, of course. It's called the Corddry Company, and he has the original Corddry Company sign on it. Is sort of his shingle.
Oh wow!
And it's cool. It's beautiful. Yeah, it looks.
With the 2 Ds.
Yeah, of course.
No waiting. Tell me everything you can about working with, I'm hoping you had scenes with, Bill Murray on the soon-to-be-released St. Vincent de Van Nuys.
I spent one day on that movie and 3 scenes, but they were all with Bill Murray. And Bill Murray was exactly how you would imagine Bill Murray to be.
Because he yelled at children?
Yep. Yet he just always had something like a kid by the scruff of the neck, walking him around. Sit down.
Bobby Farrelly told us that?
Yes.
Bobby Farrelly of the Farrelly brothers.
Yeah. Massachusetts.
Peter?
It's Peter.
It was Peter.
It's Peter.
Yeah. Bobby shunned us.
Yes. But he was saying because it was
Peter's-
obviously on Kingpin.
Kingpin. Some 10-year-old kid was being an asshole, and Bill literally said, "You're being an asshole," to the 10-year-old.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
I
So,
can see that happening.
so when you say your version, he was everything you expect him to be, it's really
Just he was himself. He
Right.
was, I don't know, the sort of like persona, this kind of distant, super fucking dry persona, but with a charm and a smile and very funny.
Yeah.
He was exactly that.
it wasn't an act, as it turns out.
No, no, it wasn't an act. And he would play something that he did that I've never seen on a movie set before, is between setups, when
He'd
they
make-
had to arrange lights and move camera.
He'd make pies.
No.
Okay.
That's maybe something you should think about.
This is not a game show, I just realized.
Yeah. Just you ask a question and let me answer it. For fuck's sake. How much longer do we have? Oh, God, a while.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
You're a wonderful host, though. It comes from a good place. You're trying to help me. You're like, this kid needs some help in answering my questions. No, he would play music. He had this little, like a plug-in iPod speaker.
Oh, yeah.
And we were shooting at a bank. And there was like this sort of middle table section in the bank where people would fill up slips. And between setups, he would set it up. He would set up his little iPod station and play like great kind of. He's a huge music guy. He's way into music, into like sort of the indie rocks, folk scene, and knows a lot of musicians and like is way up on bands. And he's playing all this wonderful music, and it was just like. It just had this like calm to it, like this great kind of music was playing and people kind of chatting, and there was no hurry, there was no rush, there was no panic, people weren't fucking freaking out. It was just this kind of lovely background music to the experience of the day.
Right.
And it's hard when you have, I'm sure you've had this in your career, where it's hard when you show up on set to work with someone who you idolize. Because for me, it's Bill Murray, more than Chevy Chase or Belushi or,
Any of them.
Any of them. For me, it was Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Like Bill Murray in Scrooged is like the perfect. I will laugh every time I see that movie. Bill Murray and everything he does. For me, it started with Ghostbusters, but he was always my favorite. So it's difficult to negotiate that because you want to just be a guy who he's working with.
Right.
For that day, for that moment, you're peers.
Yeah.
And when we were about to rehearse the next scene, I had the sides. He's like, "You want to run these?"
He said that.
Yeah, and I said, "Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to." And we were running them, and it was really hard for me to. It was an out-of-body experience for a moment, and I wish it wasn't. I wish I could have just been. Maybe I was just just another actor he worked with. But my brain, there was a scene where I play his bank officer, and I have to tell him he has no money left, and so he gets pissed at me, stands up, and tells me I'm a fucking worm, and fuck you, And the first time we did, and the cameras are running, and he's yelling at me, and all my brain is saying is, "Bill Murray's yelling at you. Bill Murray's yelling at you. Bill Murray's yelling at you." And I'm hoping what happened on the outside it was the scared, kind of anxious, nervous performance, because inside I was going, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah!
That's all that
I
theater.
didn't try to show that on the outside of my body. Who knows if that will translate once the movie comes out, but...
That's all that theater training you had.
Yeah, right. Keep it in. He was charming. He was charming and really funny, and just everything that you could ask for in meeting, an idol of yours.
Yeah.
Do you know him? Have you spent any time with him?
I met him ever so briefly and almost in passing at the Aspen Comedy Festival 100 fucking years ago. But yeah, it turns out his slightly older brother is our neighbor now and has become a very dear friend.
Oh, cool.
You're Brian Doyle.
Yeah, sure.
Murray.
He's great.
Yeah, he is phenomenal. But he did bring us oranges and avocados from
The Murray Ranch.
his younger brother Billy's ranch in San Diego. And we can't eat them because they
I ate
came
an
from
orange.
Bill Murray's ranch.
Right.
I had an orange also.
Well, did you preserve them, or are they just slowly rotting?
We're going to let them slowly rot.
Oh no, I'm making Bill Murray guacamole.
Yeah, tell everyone the
Oh,
plans.
wow,
You're
yeah.
going to make Bill Murray guacamole, and what are you going to make for the chips?
I have, you could, because I do this for Halloween a lot. Yeah, if you have a cookie cutter, you could make like different shapes of tortilla chips just by pounding, doing them on the tortilla and baking them real quick. So I'm gonna make ghosts.
Ghost tortillas.
Ghost tortillas. I think I might have an elephant cookie cutter too.
Oh, just for the one movie with Janine Garofalo.
Yeah, for Larger Than Life. I gotta figure this out.
Okay.
I should make like Murray themed.
Well, you've got another project to work on. I think.
But there will be Murray guacamole.
But there will
That's
be.
cool.
Yeah, from the Murray Ranch. So
Savor that.
it is one. By the way, I meant to say at the top that it's Jerry Lewis's 78th birthday today, because there are only a handful of
Lady!
Sure. I'm going to give you the perfect word.
Yeah.
If you would like. If you want to step up your game a little on the Jerry Lewis, because I enjoyed the lady
you.
just now.
Okay.
Try saying Blagojevich. Do you see where I'm going with this? And now I call in David, the greatest intern the world's ever known, for some water, please. Give a little Blagojevich.
Blagojevich!
See? More syllables, the better. Alan Arkin, bless him.
Extraterrestrial!
There we go.
Ooh. Funny.
Alan Arkin, one of my absolute heroes and a former guest of this show. He and his son Tony, wonderful New York stage actor.
Yeah.
Him his own damn self. You know Tony Arkin?
Yeah, not personally, but yeah.
Love him. Thank you, sir. Sirs and or Mrs. Water, sir.
Thank you, please.
You okay? Tony and Alan play a game called one-word impressions.
Funny.
You can only use one word, and it can't be a word that the person is famous for saying.
Right. What a great game.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
For people who are good at impressions.
someone had a game. Well, sure. I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Someone had a party recently, and then you had to make a top 10 list.
No. It was my trivia team. My trivia team, we did trivia night, and each one of us got to make up a set of 10 questions. And mine was, I did all questions about Pittsburgh, because that's where I'm from. And then you did, yours was an audio round.
Mine was an audio round, and I would do
10 impressions, 10 one-word
10 impressions and only one word each.
What a show off.
So, first one was weather vine. And then you had to guess.
With Jimmy Stewart.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you for not leaving me hanging.
That's great.
I think the template was lingerie. Yeah, it can't be a word that the. Anywho, let's make this about you.
The show's still happening.
Nope. Did you have scenes then with Naomi or Melissa or Chris O'Dowd?
No, I
Just
didn't.
with the Murray.
Just with Bill.
Fantastic.
I worked with Melissa on a different movie, and Naomi,
Yeah, you did The Heat.
Yes.
Come on now.
Yeah, come on now.
Another past guest, you're Paul Feig,
Oh man.
right? Natty? Was he Natty dressed every day on the set?
Yeah, absolutely, every day. He goes to bed in a three-piece suit.
Well, that's none of our business.
Oh, I made it my business.
Yeah, clearly.
One of
You wore
those.
the most gorgeous purple velvet
Yes.
coat.
Yes.
seen
Coat
it.
whenever,
Blazer.
and it was like he looked like Willy Wonka, but he could pull it off. It was
Yeah.
amazing. And we ran into him once at a restaurant, and then he complimented me on my outfit. And I'm like, this is like the highest compliment.
Yeah, you literally, that was
Yeah.
right from that show.
It's one of those. I wish I had that gift of like knowing your body and understanding what fits you well, and understanding like the choice of a different cut of suit and the color, and knowing that one is better than the other before you take it off the rack
Yeah.
and bring it home. there are certain men that have that ability.
Yes.
And that's, I don't know if that can be taught or it's just sort of innate, like that taste.
I think it's something that you do start caring about at a young age, and it becomes your thing, your signature.
Like I like sports.
But I commented on the lovely jacket choice today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's playing great against the black backdrop. Let's showing him the dangling Chad of a head shot. There we go. There we go.
Oh, good.
Thank God you have a splash of white from the T-shirt. Otherwise,
yeah, a little bit.
You'd be gone completely.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you are quite the sports fan. In fact, I'm going to ask the next question. What the hell is fantasy baseball, and why would you give so very much of your precious life to being any good at it?
That's a good question, and I'd taken a couple years off from it because of just that reason.
Yeah.
It became problematic. It became an issue. Fantasy football is very easy. They play now they play two, oh God, now they play 3 days actually a week, so it gets a little bit complicated. But it's not an everyday thing to set your lineup and put your players in and line it up. Baseball, it's every day.
Yeah.
But
and 75 games every day.
Yes, but you only have 18 guys in your team,
okay.
So you just have to deal with them and who they're playing. But yes, it's an everyday thing, and I'd taken a couple years off from it. And I began to miss it because I wasn't involved in like the minutia of baseball, and that's something I really love. I love
box scores.
Yeah, there's a brilliant book that Dan Okrent wrote called 9 Innings, and he wrote a 400-page book about a 9-inning. He just picked arbitrarily a 9-inning game, Brewers versus whoever, the Cubs, like in 1983. And slowed down every moment of the game and wrote several paragraphs about now it's a 2-2 pitch and there's a man on third and there's one out, but the reliever in the bullpen has issues with the next guy up, and then it goes into but the pitching coach was a fishing buddy. He just did this extensive research of all these guys in every moment of the game.
Well, that's the one thing about this particular game that the majority of America, since it's our nation's pastime, doesn't fucking understand.
Yes.
And in fact would say to the pitch of this book,
yes,
pun intended, I'm sorry, you want to slow down baseball?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Boring. Nope.
Read 3 Nights in August, please, if you haven't already, by Buzz Bissinger, the guy who wrote Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
He and Tony La Russa wrote this book together.
Oh, okay.
Because it does a similar thing at times within the book, where you get all the backdrop of what's actually going on with every swing of the bat.
Yeah. See, that's the thing that I love about the game, and that's like you said so eloquently. Most Americans in the last 50 years, it's just too slow, and they need something.
They need home runs.
Distracted, yeah. And for me, I love the minutia of it's one out in the 7th, and it's starting to rain a little bit, and there's a guy on second, and it's a 2-0 game, and the 1,000 things that can happen. Do you send the runner? Do you try to get the guy in? Do you take a pitch? Because the pitcher's getting tired, or is he all those little things that the average watcher of baseball doesn't get when you just watch a game? That's what makes me love baseball. And and for all the other sports, I don't have a good enough knowledge of the game to understand the little bits. I wish I knew that about football. I'm getting better. Because they say there's this great book called Don't Watch the Ball. That's the worst thing about watching football. If you're don't watch where the ball is going, because that's not where the action is. Wow. The action is really the left tackle and the defensive end and their matchup trying to get to the quarterback. Wow. That's what's compelling. And all those offensive linemen, as soon as the ball is hiked, they're going different places to set up blocking lanes for the running back. The math of sports, I like.
I would like to know what's going through the referees' minds when, in that instant, in a football game, when the ball is snapped and we look at the left tackle and what have you, that there's now holding on every single play. Yeah. And when do you decide as the referee, now should I call holding? Right. Because I did in the last 17 plays when there was also holding. Yeah. But I'm going to go ahead and do it now.
Impossible to officiate, it seems like. It's impossible to get that clear.
Speaking of which, or around it, how do you feel about the possibility of instant replay in the baseball game?
I like it. I'm an old school baseball guy, but I understand that you need to sort of keep pace with, it's 2014. It's about time. I think it's necessary, because the more,
What happens in the blink of an eye
yes,
shouldn't be left to a human
yes,
when
and that's
deciding the
okay.
fate of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much time and money has been invested
Yeah.
in the outcomes of these games.
Yeah.
So we should spend as much time and effort making sure that the outcomes are genuine.
What are the umps doing in the off season?
Napping,
Drinking, just nonstop.
drinking.
Yeah.
I was in a bar in Tempe, Arizona. I was on tour with a play for a year. And we were in Tempe for a week, and I was in a bar with another guy on the play, and there was an umpire drinking next to us. And I recognized him.
Jesus.
Because he's just one of those, you know, Tim Timmons.
Sure.
And he was such a fucking asshole.
Sure, let's call him out right here on the show.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Tim Timmons, you're an asshole.
Thank you.
And I was only kind. I was only kind.
By saying,
By saying,
Mr.
you're an asshole.
what did you say to
Game
me?
4, I saw that call, you fucking blew it, dude.
Yeah, because
No.
he never hears that.
No,
he
not
never,
once.
he never gets yelled at.
I said, I'm sorry, I'm a huge baseball fan, and are you Tim Timmons? And it's just like he was, now, this is my one place that I can just nurse my fucking broken life, and this motherfucker is going to ask me about baseball. And I saw it, and so I didn't push.
What did he actually say, since those were his thoughts?
He looked, he said, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That does say
I
it.
was like, man, you're not Tom Cruise. You're a major league umpire.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
easy fella.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And even
I'm not asking you to sign my fucking, chest to like, I'm just paying a compliment to you as you're an elite guy, and so that congratulations, and that must be interesting. I'd like to ask you a couple questions about,
how about
baseball.
this is a performer who only gets bad reviews.
Wow.
Which hadn't crossed my mind until you said
funny.
He's nursing a beer at a bar.
Yep.
And it isn't you want an autograph. It's what did I do wrong for your team?
Well, see,
because he never hears great game, ump.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely.
Right?
But I wasn't going to talk shit about some play.
No, of course not.
I just was fascinated that he knows the game better than I.
Well, see,
and that was,
if you led with that, if you ever have an opportunity to see Tim Timmons again, may I suggest that you don't call him Tommy.
Hi, you know the game better than I.
Let's segue for a moment.
Great.
On the off chance that not all of our fans love the game of baseball.
Yes.
Because I am a casual fan at best. Who then was part of a production entity that optioned the book 3 nights in August, and I beg you to read it, because if you are as sincere as you're suggesting about baseball, it is a must. Plus, Buzz Bissinger, who wrote Friday Night Lights, arguably one of the greatest sports books.
One of only 2 books in my life that I read, finished, and then started again from the...
Friday Night Lights? Yeah. Ridiculous. The year you spent on tour with the play The Graduate, I have almost no experience in theater. In fact, it's just a high school production of Godspell, like 60, 100, million, thousand other people.
Who did you play?
I don't know if it's important.
Fair enough.
Okay. I was the cast member who didn't have a solo.
Great.
Yeah.
That was my part too.
Oh, honey.
Oh.
I was the only jerk that didn't have a solo.
Yeah. But they were wise in my choice, and maybe they knew you'd blow out your throat.
Yeah, if they could sneak a Jimmy Buffett song into Godspell, it would have been okay.
I am the light, you are the light of
Yeah. The music's great.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of good.
Yeah. And there was a very famous company in Toronto that I've now heard about that had everyone from Second City TV and Paul Schaefer, and so there are some historical casts of Godspell, but more importantly, I have no theater experience. So, and I have therefore a wealth of curiosity. So we've talked to a few people here about the experience of being on the Broadway. I've not heard about, I'm now going to devote, in your case, a year of my life, to the tour, the national tour of the Broadway play.
Yeah.
We had the Jason Biggs here. He spoke about the play.
Yeah. Yep.
And then at the age of
25.
Yeah. you step into a...
26.
And they sign you to how long of a tour? They don't tell you? Is it open-ended?
They sign you to a year a 6-month contract.
With their option to extend you?
I don't remember, but probably.
Yeah.
They did 6 months. They were going to take a break, and then we're going to do another 6 months. So I wasn't committed to the next 6 months. I don't think. I don't remember. But at 25, it was a big job.
Sure.
For me. And
had you ever done any sort of touring with a play?
I'd done a local tour for the National Shakespeare Company, 60-minute versions of Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet for schools.
Wow.
This was when I was 22. It was my second year in New York.
Middle schools?
Yeah, high schools, middle schools, all through New York City and like Long Island and Staten Island. So you'd get up at 7. You'd pile into a van, drive to some fucking school somewhere, set up the sets yourself and bring your costumes.
Oh, wow.
And do, cafetoriums, do Hamlet, for kids who are just like, what the fuck is this?
Wow.
It taught me so much though about like relating with your audience and how to get them. Because with kids, you know immediately when you're losing them because they're honest.
Yeah.
As a stand-up, I guess it's different because they're probably drinking, so you probably know. But it's harder to know when you're losing them because adults understand what it means to be in an audience and they follow the rules. You're polite.
That's, by the way, the physical move you just did is one of the first signs of I'm losing them.
When things aren't going well.
They move the chair.
Yep. Same with kind of kids, actually.
Really?
Because they start to move around and because they're sitting cross-legged on a fucking auditorium floor. But they let you know immediately that they're not into it. So you have to fight to get them. So your performance, instead of like, goes, to like try to, and like, oh, wow, he's doing something interesting up there. Like, you have to grab their attention any way you can.
Right.
Like, by basically like cheating.
Yeah.
So it was a great lesson into like the interaction with the audience because they are so honest. They tell you how.
Did you ever have?
This is stupid.
Yeah. Did
you hear that?
Did you ever have?
Yeah.
A dream, which a lot of actors do, about going out on stage not knowing their lines, going out on stage naked? Did you ever have the dream where you were doing one of those shows for the middle schoolers, and the ghost of the Bard himself stepped through the back doors and said, "These children are right. Who abbreviated my play?"
No.
Okay. Fair enough.
What's the next question?
Sometimes they're just for me. You once stated, and I quote, "My cat Wallace is my closest friend." Is that in fact still the case?
Close friend.
There's been a bit of a falling out because we love the name, by the way. We're very strong on giving cats and dogs
proper names,
proper human names.
There was a graphic novel I was reading one time with a woman named her cat Science.
Oh, God.
That was kind of funny.
Funny, yes, annoying also.
I get it. Yeah, his name is Wallace. He's named, it's a split between the green monster at Fenway Park, the wall, and our mascot, which is, you just tolerate it, is a green monster. His name is Wally.
Ah.
And I'm also an enormous fan of the author David Foster Wallace. I like his work a lot, so it was sort of a mesh of those two books and sports together.
Yeah.
And I would like the idea of a proper name for a cat.
Yes.
Wallace. Yeah.
What sort of cat may Wallace be?
Cool one.
Sure.
Oh, he's a good guy.
Excellent.
He's a tabby kind of barn cat.
All right.
He's got him in Long Beach at the Long Beach shelter.
Cat fair?
So if that was a thing, yeah. I would go to the cat fair.
Yeah.
I almost went to the Santa Monica cat show a year or so ago with a friend. Let's go to the fucking cat show and check out those fucking crazies. But we decided not to. Instead.
When is that? Because I would actually like to go see those crazies. Gotta be.
I think Michael Showalter has a booth there.
I'll bet he does.
Is he a big cat?
Sally, Tim,
Billy
Billy
and Louise.
and Louise.
Those are his
4 cats.
cats.
Does.
Oh, wow, that's intense.
And he had 4 cats
In New York.
in New York. He just moved here, and they had
In a one-bedroom?
Yeah, I don't know the size of the
Yeah,
apartment,
it's not a
but
big
he
apartment.
had 4 cats in a
Yeah, now at least
apartment.
they're in a house, which is
he
indoor.
okay?
Indoor. We're not sure. Although waiting on twins any second. Indoor, outdoor with the Wallace.
Indoor only. I live in a not a remote area. but
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
With the
it's
indoor only.
Not in this town, no
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
I hear coyotes howling at night all the time.
On average, 3-year life expectancy for an outdoor cat, 17 years
Yes.
for indoor.
That's crazy.
We're done debating,
Yeah, no,
When
yeah.
you
I
hear
don't
that
know.
stat.
Absolutely.
unless you don't like the cat,
Yeah.
and then you show them the door.
If you want to have it, yeah, give it some tough life experience.
Yeah, you know what
let
you
it out.
need, buddy? A little bit of outdoors.
It's just toughen you up.
You don't like the goo I'm putting down there in the bowl?
Yeah, exactly.
See what's out there.
Find it yourself.
Yeah, go get yourself a bird.
Where did you see? Where did I say that?
The Wallace?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Where did I say? Where did you find that quote?
I don't see how that's your business.
Fair enough.
Where these things
That's a
come
good
from.
point. None of this is my business.
But you're not getting off easy with the touring thing, because you mentioned going through Tucson where you saw the Tim Timmons
Yeah, Tempe. Yeah.
in the Tempe, I believe is how they annoyingly pronounce it.
I'm sorry.
And also, it's Tucson, the way you're spelling it. People of Tucson.
Right.
It's Tucson. Why are you forcing
Okay.
me to
Well,
say
there's a town
Tucson?
in Western Massachusetts spelled Worcester.
Pronounced Worcester.
No,
Worcester.
you're a fucking jerk. Worcester, dude.
I was indeed an asshole. Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on the story. I want to go to,
The tour. Or you want?
and I really want a little more information on the tour, please.
Yeah, of course.
Because I've toured as a comedian, never extensively. I purposely never went out for even a 6-week run.
Yeah.
Let alone a 6-month run.
Toxic.
I was one of those guys who could say, I'll go out 1 weekend, 2 weekends tops
Right.
per month.
Yeah.
My whole life.
Right.
And they would say, you can't do 3 weekends in a row? No, I can't.
No, life is too short.
But at 25, 26,
You take the job.
this is the time.
Yeah.
You probably thought this is a great gig.
Yeah.
I'm going to really find out what theater is.
Yep.
It's the lead in the damn play.
It was not the lead the first 6 months.
Sure, it wasn't. What?
Nope. It was the understudy for the lead, and I played 3 small non-speaking. One part I had a line,
And then what happened?
and then the guy who was playing the lead left the show.
By the name of Tim Timmons.
Tim as Benjamin Braddock. Enormous. Plastics. What? You're out. Just him floating in a pool with his sunglasses on.
Saying you're out.
You seem heavy, Tim. Sorry, what was the question?
You replaced someone.
The first guy who did it was wonderful actor who was on a show called Boy Meets World, which if you're a woman of a certain age, you are a fan of. His name is Ryder Strong.
Uh-huh.
He was on that show forever. He played for the first 6 months. And then another guy played for the next 6 months, Jonathan,
Shrek.
no,
Schneck.
keep going. I don't remember his last name.
Sure.
Fuck, he made a real impression on me.
Taylor Thomas.
Winters.
Yep.
And he left the show, and I took over for the first 6 months was shared by these 2 guys. Next 6 months, I took over. So I did 6 months as an understudy, small bit parts, and then 6 months as
So
the
that
lead.
first 6 months was a true education
Oh, yeah.
without the pressure
Yeah.
of being the show.
Yeah, every
So-
Friday we would have understudy rehearsal, and you had to be prepared at a moment's notice to go on.
Right.
But every night I did basically nothing. But the theaters that we were playing, because it's a Broadway tour, so we're playing like 11, 12, 1,400 seat theaters.
You're playing the Center for the Performing Arts in most cities?
Yeah, in San Francisco we played the Curran, and we were there for 5 weeks.
Where you're Denzel Washington, as part of the ACT,
Right.
learned his chops.
Yeah, there's a theater right next door too. There's the Curran and I don't know what the ART theater. Yeah, but they're right there right in the Tenderloin, basically.
Yeah, Geary.
Yeah, Geary
I
Street.
wanna
Yeah,
say.
nice. Yeah.
Well, it's my hometown, I should technically.
Oh
know
right,
that.
yeah. And the first 6 months when the show has just come off Broadway, you get like the good cities.
Right.
And the bigger, and you sit down for a couple weeks.
You get your Boston.
Yeah.
You're Philly, you're Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. You get Chicago, you get like Seattle or Austin, or like great big towns.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, we played Pittsburgh, but I don't think until the second leg. I think I had Pittsburgh, but I don't remember.
Where do you think they might have played in the Pittsburgh, Jamie, with a big play like that?
Oh, it would have to be, I mean, there's a couple larger theaters, like we have a cultural district.
Yeah, you do.
So, I can't remember.
I've forgotten.
Yeah, but
we played from Anchorage to Miami, and like every city in between. And what's great about that job, at that age, I've been on a plane twice in my life. I went to Disney World once when I was 10.
Sure.
And I went to visit the University of Wisconsin at Madison when I was 20, or when I was 21, to interview and potentially be a MFA candidate.
Between 10 and 21, did you just refuse to get on another plane because you didn't like the peanuts?
No, I have an allergy. No, it was really, I was in, my family we didn't travel.
Wow.
There was no, we just didn't, we didn't have the money, and there's no, like.
I think I was kind of raised similarly, and I hadn't really thought of it until just now. We kind of drove everywhere.
Yeah.
And there was no reason to go.
I remember watching, I'm pushing it here.
Go ahead.
I remember watching Good Will Hunting in 1998. And I'm not a street kid from Southie. I grew up in a middle class, town, but.
As did they.
Right.
As it turns out.
But the way that those characters behaved, like, I knew those guys.
Right.
Like, I know those guys. And one of the characters said, that Robin Williams' character said to Matt Damon somewhere throughout that movie, he's like, "You've never been out of Boston." And the Matt Damon character kind of bristles like, "Yeah, why should I?" And I totally related to that.
Right.
And I was like, oh God, he's saying it like it's a bad thing.
Right.
I didn't understand that there's a whole world and a big country with all different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And I was very, I don't know, I just was raised like, we stay here. You're a New Englander. This is your,
Yeah.
Even like the thought of moving to New York City. When my brother moved to New York, it was like, what?
Yeah, what's the matter with you?
You're going to be murdered.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because there's no crime in the Boston area.
No racism either.
No.
But yeah, that was the first. I remember being on the plane flying to San Francisco for our first day of that tour, and then we were flying JetBlue, and I was watching the map. And the second the plane crossed Wisconsin, I turned to my buddy, and I was like, "This is the furthest I've ever been away from home."
At this moment.
And he's like, "Why are you waking me up?"
Go back to your TV screen, theater
Just
boy.
staring at it like this.
Yeah. Right in Colorado.
Right. But yeah, I remember calling my dad the next day and be like, "Dad, I'm breathing California air. I'm in California."
And he said,
"Again, it's very early. Why are you calling me so early?" But it was like that whole year was like just a year of firsts. Like it was just unbelievable. I grew more as forget about being an actor, but I grew more just as a man and as a person.
Yeah.
Traveling and getting to really like know myself, because I was pushed more than traveling that much, that extensively, than I'd ever been pushed like in my life.
And you also learned on that trip, according to the dossier, to never read a review.
Yes. Yeah, great lesson. A great lesson that if you play it smart, you only have to learn once.
Yeah.
You do it once, and it fucking destroys you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a 25-year-old kid who has very little self-confidence to begin with,
Yeah.
and is like hanging on by a thread.
Yes.
Just fucking shattered.
Yeah. You're the reason this is horrible.
Yes. What you think you're doing it well.
Right.
The whole foundation of your creative life is false.
Yeah. Enjoying yourself?
Right.
You ruined my night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Not your friends.
Yeah.
You.
I went home and kicked my dog because of you. So that.
Now, the reason not to Google yourself, by the way, kids.
Exactly.
Don't Google yourself.
No, only leads to nightmares. And also, when you're on tour, it's not like you read those reviews, but then you go home to your house and your bed and your family and your life, and it's like, well, I still have this. You go home to the room at the fucking Sheridan, in Norfolk, and you're just like, oh God, what the fuck am I doing? It gets dark.
Yeah.
So I decided I didn't want to feel that anymore.
Right.
because it's not worth rolling the dice to maybe get a good one.
Right.
Because what you have to do, if you believe the good ones, you have to believe the bad ones.
Also, I find even in the good ones, there's always that misdirect, ass backwards compliment. You know, for a pudgy, balding guy, he's brilliant.
Right.
What happened?
Even if it wasn't backwards, your brain, if you're prone to that stuff, will turn it that way.
Yeah.
So there's no good comes of it.
Nope.
Zero.
Yeah.
So
wouldn't it be great to get to a point where you did a performance and you actually judged yourself fairly?
Yeah.
And thought, I left it all out there.
Yeah.
Or could have done it better.
I feel like I'm getting there.
Good.
I did a play a couple years ago, and it was a big part in a semi-famous play, and I didn't read any of them, and I just negotiated my response with the audience, and that was it. And I was like, I'm fucking working my ass off.
Yeah, the truth is that's all you really have is the audience.
Yes.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and and sometimes, I'll think, oh God, I hated them because they hated me, and I'll get off stage, and people come backstage and go, you killed. What a great show.
Yep.
We loved you.
Absolutely.
And I used to just think, and now eventually say comfortably, you could have let me know during the show.
Right.
With any kind of feedback at all.
Right.
Instead of the silence, which is what I heard.
Your brain has the power to convince you of anything.
Yeah.
That's just something that I learned pretty quickly performing in front of an audience, and then like that, thinking that was a nightmare. Oh, you were wonderful. Or anything, or reading a review, or whatever, like when you're young. Your brain is, if you allow it to manipulate you, it will.
And how are you if you're doing a play and you know someone you admire, as you've been told so-and-so is in the house tonight?
I did a play at the Summer Theater in Western Mass called Williamstown.
Sure.
Which is sort of where I kind of came up. And
Storied Williamstown, if I may.
Yeah, you may. It's deserved. Paul Newman came to see a play that I was in. Not to see me, of course, but Eric Bogosian. Do you know Eric Bogosian?
Of him, certainly.
Yeah. He wrote a terrible play, Eric.
Another great name to say as Jerry Lewis. Eric Bogosian! Yeah. He wrote a terrible play. Well,
terrible play.
Wrote several.
Yep.
Got to be a stinker or two in there.
Keeps writing them, apparently. And I was the only male in the show, so he and I shared a dressing room. And Paul Newman came to see it, and you could see his eyes. He was sitting like center, 8 rows up.
With
I can see it now.
Eyes.
You can fucking see in the dark.
Jesus.
I remember looking out there and going, okay, just made eye contact. That just happened. And my mother happened to be at that performance too, which was so fucking that's kind of amazing. Like, Mom, you're seeing your son in a play, and guess who was also Cool Hand Luke is in the audience with you. That's something to think about.
Are the words Butch Cassidy mean anything to you?
Exactly, right. You've seen The Sting, right? And he came backstage to say hello to Eric.
Sure.
And he didn't knock. He just walked in, and I was in my, basically nude. I was pulling up my tighty whities. Eric was in the bathroom.
Fantastic.
Pulling on my, I'm.
Having just blown you? What's happening? Okay, so you're pulling up your underdrawers.
I don't want to talk about it. It's a different interview. Pulling up my underwear, literally, and then looking up, and and there he is.
Sure.
And he said, "Is Eric here?" I said, "Yes, yeah, he's just in the bathroom. Let me grab him." And I went to the bathroom. I was like, "Oh, Paul Newman, I'd speak with you."
Yeah.
Oh fuck! And he's like, "Gotta pull this." And
Let me wipe.
Right. And he came stumbling out. He said, "Oh, Mr. New." He's like, "Oh, Eric, it was so good." And I didn't say, I kind of stood back and got dressed and just like watching it out of my periphery. And he was so kind and generous. It was a great play. It was just a wonderful performance. I really appreciate it. Just great. And the play was fucking shit. But Paul Newman was being wonderful.
Stoic and wonderful, yeah.
Wonderful. And it was just, and I just could, and Eric was kind enough to say, "Oh, this is Nate. He's also in the play." Hi, Nate. "Hi, Mr. Newman." Shook his hand, and he disappeared.
He didn't say, "I thought it was Nathan."
And that's our show. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's spectacular.
Yeah, I shook. Yeah, the two sort of highlights when I think about it are this hand is shook Paul Newman's hand and James Brown's hand.
What?
That's pretty good.
Well, now we need a James Brown story.
I was in
Please.
Saskatoon.
Yeah. Also a great word to say is Jerry
I was just about to say that.
Saskatoon.
Yeah.
That might be a Carson word.
Yeah,
Saskatoon.
in Saskatchewan. Mm-hmm. Again, the second 6 months out of the tour, we went to,
Parts unknown.
started to stretch it out a little
Sure.
bit. Got thin.
Saskatoon.
But when you come to Saskatoon, like you're like it's like the fucking Beatles. are
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And Morgan Fairchild was playing was my Mrs. Robinson,
Needless to say.
and they have a great relationship. They're old pals.
Wow.
James Brown, Morgan Fairchild.
Let me hold on a second. Give me just a moment with that visual.
Yep.
Now I see why he feels good. Okay.
James Brown. James Brown. He he just happened to be doing a show in Saskatoon that night.
Did.
He was doing a show.
Uh-huh.
I guess things get thin for Mr. Brown as well.
Well, they might have corresponded.
I think they had
He
a
and
relationship.
Morgan, and they might have said, "Are you?
Yep.
When are you?
Yeah.
I'll book.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll meet
So-
up there."
Yeah, so she was like, "Do you want to go after the show? We're going to go to his concert." I was like, "Yes, I will join you." So she brought me and like 3 or 4 other people from the cast, and we got in the car and went to we had backstage passes, and we went right up to the front and saw like the last half hour of the show, and we got invited backstage and got to meet everyone, and I shook his hand.
Was he still sweating?
Yes, flop sweat.
Good.
Like Albert Brooks from Broadcast News.
Wow.
Just like. And
He leaves it all out there.
he does, but the theatrics were still there. I don't know how old he was. This is in 2004. Man.
Give me a number on that one, Kenny. How old was James Brown in 2004, please?
I'm going to give him 30 seconds. He won't have it.
I'll give you 11 seconds.
And he said, God bless you. God bless, thank you, God bless you. And he held my hand as I was shaking it. God bless you. God bless you. He's got like 10 more seconds. He's not going to get it. Thank you.
Really?
Nope.
Oh, it's the math problem.
Too late. You fucking lose.
Come on, you're Asian. Be up on this.
Oh.
Whoa, sweet racism.
I'm going to excuse myself.
They're good at math.
Wow.
And laundry. Yikes. Jesus. Fucking hell.
No ticky, no calculator. I see where this is going.
I had a racist friend when I was living in New York. There was
Did
a
you?
delivery guy. We all have those guys.
Yep.
Right? A holdout from Boston who
Sure.
was hanging on me for the weekend. And we had a Chinese delivery guy come, and we ordered a couple of cans of Coke. And we were eating the Chinese, and he's like, you really gonna drink that? You gonna drink that Coke? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you know what those people do to that Coke? As in you don't know that. You know that old one? Me Chinese, me play joke. Me put PB in your Coke. You never heard that?
I didn't know they could get into a can.
Yeah, man. Those people can do anything.
Did they ninja their urine into the can of sealed Coke?
I don't have an answer for you. These questions are unanswerable. Anyway.
All right. Well, listen, let's segue back to the cat world, but in a way that I don't think you see coming. Speaking of cats, I typed, please tell your mother's favorite story of when you were the high school football team's mascot.
Okay.
Yeah, some of these will be fun for us only.
Okay. I need a drink.
Let me quickly jump to the end because it'll make no sense now. Your favorite quote, or my favorite quote from the incident, the dad of a buddy of mine called me the cat for the next 2 years. He said he had 3 videos, his wedding video, Rocky II, and my fight with the boxer. And now we hear what that means.
It's Rambo 2.
Sorry.
Actually. That's Alan Pettit Sr. Hey, it's the cat! Hey, cat! Come over here! This is fucking. Hey! How's college? You doing good? Got good grades? Listen, let me tell you something. Like, fucking hammered. Let me tell you this is a true story. I got 3 VHS videos, you understand, in my living room. I have my wedding. I have Rambo 2. And I have you getting your ass kicked by the Brockton Boxer. Have a seat. Are you hungry? When I was 15, I wanted to meet the cheerleaders. So I was like, how do I do this? I was like, I'll become the mascot, the Weymouth Wildcat.
Weymouth Wildcat.
Weymouth Wildcat. So you go to every home football game, you dance around like a jerk off and wave, and kids want to meet you and shake your hand.
Boy, do they. And so do the cheerleaders, as it turns out. Nope.
Actually,
Hello.
addendum, if I may. Addendum to that story. My senior prom date. Get your hand out. You went up to your elbow. You had a different senior prom than I did. Linda Chandler, she was my senior prom date. She was the captain of the cheerleading team.
Captain of the
put that in your
cheerleading
pipe.
squad. Gaboom.
I went to all the football games and danced around like an idiot. Thanksgiving Day, we played Brockton.
I'll say.
Brockton is good. Brockton is like a state powerhouse. Unlike Weymouth. We're more like a soccer. What's that?
She had another Simpsons quote involving the word Weymouth. No,
It's not
Brockton.
important. It's not important.
Haberville.
How much time do we have?
Ogdenville and
And-
North Haverbrook. It goes Brockton, Ogdenville, North Haverbrook.
There you go.
Sorry.
Back to your Brockton.
Rocky Marciano's from Brockton, dude. This is tough.
We say no more.
And
So they were a great team. You were a shit
they
team.
were great, and we were shit.
The score
And-
was 57-2.
Yeah, pretty much. And halftime, the dance team and the cheerleaders are doing their dance, and I'm up there dancing just like an idiot, facing my home crowd. And it's Thanksgiving Day, and everyone goes. The whole town, there's 5,000 people there, and the stands are packed. And all of a sudden, I see all my fans. God, it's like burned in my memory. All my fans stand up and they start cheering. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything different. Why are they? And I turn behind me, and there's the Brockton Boxer.
Their mascot.
Not a fighter, a dog, yeah. About like 3 yards away from me.
In such a full stride, he cannot be stopped.
30 yard.
He had run to get to you.
She.
Oh. Did you know the boxer was a she?
Gilb. I realized that when she was on top of me, hitting me in my, she was running so hard. Full, like ganged, boom! Like I had been like in a car wreck. My helmet comes flying off. Now it's me. Now it's this. My paws come off. I'm on the ground, and my brain.
Wait a second.
It's like
your paws also came off?
mittens. I was hit so hard. You know, like when you're in a car wreck and sometimes like your shoes come off, like because the car wreck was so traumatic.
I don't, but I like it.
That happens. That's a thing that happens.
Okay.
And it also happens with your
Paws.
wildcat mittens. I'm on the ground. My brain is trying to like what is happening? It's trying the Jenga's got spilled and it's trying to pile it back up to like figure out what's happening in my life. And I turn and she is just pounding me in the face. And in that moment,
now is she wearing boxer?
No, she's a boxer dog.
But has
Yeah.
she thrown off her paws?
I think she still has her paws. And I can see through the hole in her mask, like through her mouth, I can see a girl's face. And she's punching me. And I'm like, I can't hit a girl. I can't hit a fucking, so I just have to take it.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I'm not going to punch this girl in the fucking face.
And the
then I go
fans
to
are probably
jail for
thinking,
assault.
why is he not fighting?
Exactly.
Oh.
And in that moment, like, I'm not going to hit a girl. No. So I just kind of get her off me, and I grab my helmet and like put it back on.
Because you're much better as a cat at this point.
But it's too late. You know what I mean? Once the face is revealed, you fucked. So she's jumping up and down, and I'm like scrambling for my paws, and she goes off to the other sideline.
Scrambling for my paws, by the way, should be the
Is
name of
my
your
memoir.
second book.
My second. And the first will be a failure.
Yeah.
The second will be self-published.
Yeah.
Can I put my book in your store? No? All right.
It's called Scrambling for My Paws.
That's worse. Okay. I just remember walking back to the sidelines, and on the fence was there, and my brother and my mother and my grandfather,
Oh, God.
with their hands on the fence, just like,
Oh, the pride.
oh.
The pride.
Needless to say, school on Monday was tough.
What a, yeah. So it's shocking now to everyone why this might be etched into your memory.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I will never. Thanksgiving has sort of a
Stench?
it's a bit of a melancholy every
You
Thanksgiving.
just focus on the game.
Yeah, I
whatever
wake
game.
up and I think,
Oh, look,
it's
Detroit's losing again.
Oh, it's Thanksgiving.
But
it is a
most of us are
great-
thinking,
Yeah.
don't eat. There's a great meal coming. Wait for the pie. You're
I'm
thinking,
like, eat and drink.
where's that bulldog
Yeah, always.
over the
I
shoulder?
wonder where she is right now.
Yeah. We'd love to hear from you.
Please write in.
If you were the bulldog,
The boxer, excuse
the
me.
boxer.
Yeah.
Sorry, the boxer, not the bulldog.
It's a good story, though,
Write
right?
to us at contact@kevinpaulchatsworth.com. I'm sorry I had to force you to share it,
Please, it's a good one.
but I could not get over it myself. We take questions from the audience live. We had one sent in ahead of time from the Twitter. We call these tweet fives.
T5.
You know that son of a bitch?
T5 forever now.
That's your Dave Keckner.
He and my brother get confused a lot.
Oh, that's
People
right.
are like, oh, your brother was so good at Anchorman. I was like, that's not my brother. But
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I do a thing
Both
now.
tall and bald.
I do a thing now, and also both past guests of this very table. For the Kansas City jerks, the Sudeikis, the Keckner, the Rudd, and the Ham, for the Mercy Children's Hospital there, annual fundraiser.
Oh, nice.
And that's one of Keckner's go-tos. Hi, everybody, I'm not Rob Corddry.
Hilarious.
In
That's
front
great.
of the sold-out theater.
Really funny.
Yeah, so just let your brother know.
That's great
It
that they
annoys
share
the
that.
fuck out of him as well. So these questions are geared towards the guest,
Okay.
specifically.
All right.
They are Coke or Pepsi, no correct answer. Sometimes they could
Gotcha.
come near a Sophie's Choice, but only because it's funny. And I wanted to read this one as it came to me through Twitter for you. I asked on Twitter, hey, if you got any tweet fives for our guest. This one was written by @Richard_Lynn, Linn, because that's a spelling. And I wanted to read this one in particular, Richard, and thank you for writing in, to let you know this is a horrible tweet five. You have
Thank you.
crushed my instructions and the rules of a tweet five, which are to make them personalized to the guest.
Right.
As you will now see, this one's been perfectly written for you. Ready?
Yes.
Rob or Laura?
Laura.
Nice. Honey or sugar on cereal?
Honey.
Live or Memorex?
Say it again?
Yes, exactly. Live. Oh,
Pass.
thank you. That is the correct answer. Red or white?
Red.
The Who or Led Zeppelin?
The Who.
You got 3 out of 5.
Thank you.
Sure.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Normally they're actually written having only to do with you, your life, and your career.
Right.
And then this jagoff wrote the most generic, and I wanted to still do it.
I'm
Yeah.
going to guess that that was the only question that was sent in from Twitter.
And that's why I
Yep.
read it?
Yes.
How dare you be correct.
Tell me. Thank you.
You know where I thought you were especially delightful? If I were writing a tweet five, I would have involved a question from this, like Conan or Andy. I would have referred to your delightful involvement in the Conan O'Brien show as the NBC page.
Oh, thank you.
Right?
Thank you so much.
Fun?
Real fun.
Yeah.
Real
You're
fun.
living in New York?
Yep. Doing some comedy shows at the Upright Citizens Brigade every so often, and
Right.
got to know the casting director there, and then she'd see me in some things, and they're always looking for people to sort of do background stuff during
Right.
Conan's show. And my brother was way plugged into that scene. He was like a regular of like the cast, you know, before they go to the first guest, they do like sketches.
Yeah.
And he did that a lot. And she kind of, you know, when they needed a younger person, they would ask me. I did 5 or 6 of them. I didn't do a ton of them, but my NBC page part was.
Recurring more than once. Twice.
Was it?
Dossier says twice.
I don't remember that.
Okay, good.
Fair enough.
That's important.
Yeah, it made again another thing that made an impression on me.
Yeah.
It was for Gangs of New York.
Great.
Gangs of New York had just come out, and Ian Roberts
Love them.
of the Upright Citizens Brigade played Daniel Day-Lewis, like being angry, or he had some acts, and because he was super violent in that movie, and he was doing something that didn't deserve violence, and he was being violent. That was the joke.
Yeah.
And I came in with a note to give Conan. Like, here's a note, Conan. And Conan wanted to do the same thing. So he was super violent, but he didn't have an axe. He just had a telephone.
Right.
So he took a telephone and beat me to death with the receiver of a telephone.
Sure.
That was my first Conan bit. And at rehearsal, he didn't look at me. And I was anxious, and I was, this is my first time, I'm overwhelmed. And he was sitting at the desk, and the director was like, yeah, then Nate, you come in, and then you hand him the phone, and he's gonna take the phone. And so I walked up with this foam phone, and I walked up, and I think I had a line, like, Conan, you have, and before I even got the line out, he goes, is he gonna hold the phone like that? And I was like, all right.
That's what you said.
This is how it's going to roll.
That's when you said, and also, sir, it's Nathan.
So I gave him one quick one right to the throat.
Sure.
And he was kind of stunned. I was like, bam, 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 and I grabbed him.
Right.
Because he's a terrible fighter.
Yeah, he's awful. Not like the boxer.
No. He doesn't have a lot of courage.
Nope.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, God. And he's like, why is he handing the phone like that? Like, just have him. I was a foot away from him. And this is what he should have done.
Yeah.
I'm going to act this out.
Sure.
I'm gonna stop you. What if you, instead of handing like this, I think it's funnier if you handed me like the receiver like this, and then I can grab it. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, oh yeah, that's great. He's like, all right, cool. Let's try it again. Let me do his version. Is he gonna hold it like this? And I was I'm just dying to get famous enough so I can be a guest on Conan's show, for them to play that clip, and I can out him as a jerk in rehearsal.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
and show the clip.
Yeah, and show the clip, absolutely. Yeah, it was sort of a prickly thing. Yeah. And then when they're taping, I'm dressed as a page, and I come out there, I'm like, oh God, I hope he's fucking, Jesus, please don't fucking, oh God. And I hand him the phone correctly, and he, beats me over. And it was fine. The audience laughed, and that was it. And
Did he look at you in the actual performance?
No.
No,
I don't think so.
No.
He just went like this. He missed me most of the time. Yeah.
You've worked with powerhouses in the television world. I mentioned that we met in the Mom television show, which is being run by one of the current, if not mathematically biggest powerhouses. Has anyone had 4 shows on?
He's at the pinnacle.
Yeah, he owns a third of the lot at Warner Brothers.
Yep. Mount Everest is just 4 of his faces.
That's right. The great Chuck Lorre. But before him, and in fact what brought you from the Brooklyn to the Los Angeles, if I may, was the Studio 60. The Aaron Sorkin.
Yes. Yeah.
Who, you were such a fan of The West Wing, according to the dossier, this was, one could guess, more than just getting a job, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You're saying Aaron Sorkin's words.
Yeah.
You can't fucking believe it.
I've been saying his words in my apartment, watching The West Wing on DVD. I watched all of it, and I'd be walking around my house repeating his words, or saying different words in his tone.
And in an interview, you were calling out the names of episodes the way that this one calls out names of episodes of The Twilight Zone.
A West Wing episode?
Yeah. Maybe it was just for the interview you were trying to impress somebody, but you're called out.
Yeah, that's a show I've watched. I think I've watched the whole. Well, I didn't watch the whole series because when Aaron stopped writing it, it changed.
Sure.
The first 4 seasons he wrote, and I can't get enough.
Yeah.
I've watched it all like twice or 3 times. I'm due to watch it again, actually. It's so.
Will you have us over?
I'm not comfortable with that.
Okay. Just thought I'd take a shot in front of everyone.
Thank you, no.
Have you, by the way, a sidebar before you push on, have you and Allison shared your any experiences, Allison Janney, that you're working with now on the Sorkin front?
We actually met on Studio 60. She played a guest host.
Oh, that's right.
In one of the final episodes. And I was just a huge fan of hers. And another one of those moments where you just be a person. Just be a person. Don't fucking freak out.
And what happened?
I was a person.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, proud of you.
Thank you.
She's still freaked out.
Yeah. I mean, because I was very close to her, saying, I'm a person. No, she was great. She was, and she was very candid, as we all are.
Right.
Like we had this sort of shorthand about what it is like to be on a Sorkin series. I mean, of course, she was on Westworld for 7 years, so she has a lot more stories and has a fuller history with him.
Right.
But it was really helpful to talk to someone who'd been with him for so long, because I always wondered if he liked me or if I was doing a good enough job. And not that I needed Dad to be like pat me on the head and say you're doing a good job,
But he had a way of not letting anyone know?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Sometimes, maybe it was just me because I was much more insecure back then. But you were on eggshells sometimes during the
Sure.
As you are with some creative, powerful people.
By the way, 30 years into this, I was the same way around the great Chuck Lorre when my first couple of episodes on The Mom. I mean, I really. Jokes come to my mind and said, nope, keep them to yourself. Don't pitch anything.
Yeah, it's tough.
Don't just do the shit. He knows what the fuck he's doing, and as it turns out, he did. And now you've got a guy who, in Sorkin, has been complained about when he insists that people say his words exactly as they're written.
Me, I buy
Having
it.
come from theater,
that's what you do.
according to the dossier, this was perfect for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The playwright has given you a map. So you just all you have to do is just follow that map, and you'll be fine.
Right.
And his background is playwriting, and when you have a guy who is who understands better than you, and if you're comfortable knowing that, then you'll be fine. Aaron Sorkin knew my character better than I did, and that was okay. And he knew where it was going. He knew how this character needed to relate to the other characters. I didn't know better than Aaron Sorkin. So you follow every fucking word. And I don't know, I think like when you're writing plays or when you're a playwright or when you're someone like Aaron Sorkin, every word, every piece of punctuation is there for a reason.
Yeah, took him a long time.
Yeah, it's not casual. That ... is there because it's important. So mind the punctuation. Like that stuff, he's trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
And this guy is a surgeon. So if you want to do justice to his greatness and genius, you got to be just as sharp as he is and mind all of it. Because there are some writers that are just sort of putting it out there and not being specific with moments and don't have that sort of power. And you can just sort of flub along and you basically get it because they're telling like this kind of story. It's big and thick and wide and not specific. And then you have someone like Aaron whose knife is so sharp.
Right.
You have to get just as sharp as he is to convey all the feelings that he's trying to show.
Yeah.
Some writers are like, I'm comfortable with 5 feelings. My characters can feel 5 things and show the audience that, and that's enough. And Aaron has like 75. So it's like a dial. It's gonna really. So I loved that. I was like, oh, make it harder for me because it's making me better. Like I felt like I was getting to be a better actor because I was working with someone who was smarter than I was.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like really getting specific, really getting exacting.
Also, well, from your theater training, the playwright is the Lord.
Yeah.
And you are there in servitude.
Kind of.
The difference being that I think some actors begin to have a problem with it is the playwright absolutely knows your character better than you, and it is a singular piece. Whereas years of a series, you've now got to make the character your own.
Yeah.
And you need to breathe life into it in your individual way.
Right.
At some point. I don't know when that point is, and it's probably different for everyone. But I know that it seems like the actors, and I know a couple who've shared stories, their take on it being, this is my character now, and if I'm going to do this, I now need to inhabit that body and breathe life into it above and beyond the page. Like sometimes on The Mom, one of the writers will come by and say, you really lifted that beat more so than it was in the room because you brought this thing, right?
Yeah.
But I think that also occurs when you say the words exactly how they're written.
I think it's different because it's Aaron. Mm-hmm. Because he's one of the greats. So I don't know, with Aaron I would always trust him.
Right.
As opposed to, like, there are thousands of great writers, but not that great.
Yeah.
And
yeah, no,
you kind of, I would never want to like assume like, oh, I think I know better than, because there are writers that I've worked with that I'm like, I think I know better, but certainly not with someone like Aaron. Same goes with Chuck. I mean, like, talk about a guy who understands that medium. I mean,
his notes are they're not like any notes I've ever heard before, because I've never had notes given to me where every single one of them I thought, I hadn't thought of that, you're right.
Yes.
That exact.
Yep.
I hadn't thought of that, you're right.
People ask me about him.
You might say that to be polite.
Right.
But I've never meant it every single time.
Yeah.
It's astounding.
People ask me, like, what's Chuck Lorre like? Like, what's it like to work for Chuck Lorre? Because he has sort of this, like, mythology around him.
Sure.
And the thing that I always go to is, like, I've gotten notes from pretty talented people in my career. I've had Jon Stewart give me notes about comedy. I've had Aaron Sorkin give me notes. You know, like, I've had pretty powerful people give me notes.
How about David Kelly?
I've had David Kelly give me notes.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, people who understand the medium and understand how to tell a story in a short amount of time. And no one gives notes like Chuck. Chuck is the best at explaining to an actor what they need to do to improve the scene.
And also, what a joy in a sitcom when he says, you really need to let that breathe. Take your time with that.
Yeah,
That blew my mind on day one.
Right.
Oh, don't get to the joke?
Right.
Let it sit?
Right.
And then, beautiful.
Yeah, I love getting notes from him. It's scary, but it's, but man, he is exactly right every time. And something as simple as, like, don't pick up the cup then. Like, it's just give it a beat and then pick up the cup, and then the joke fucking, it's like, oh God, of course. I would have never gotten that. Thank you for being the best at what you do.
Thank you for being in the trenches for 25 to 30 years, and that's the only way that he got the leg up. Tell me about the chemistry read you allegedly did with Anna Faris before getting the role of Gabriel.
Oh, yeah. Anna and I had done a movie together. We'd done the Yogi Bear movie.
Sure.
Don't condescend to me.
I watched that movie.
Don't
it's
you
not
dare.
half bad.
Wait, a review is in.
Oh, thank you. No, I can't listen.
It's not half bad.
It's just okay. I watched that movie in Boston over Christmas with my nephews, who at the time were 7 and 5, and the 5-year-old sitting next to me.
That's, I'm guessing, the demographic.
Yep, and he's watching it, squirming in his chair. Uncle Nate, when is this over?
Oh, no. But then you said, it's Nathan.
Uncle Nathan, that doesn't have the same ring to it.
Uncle Nate, when is this over?
Yeah, when is this over?
Oh, that's beautiful.
We shot that movie in New Zealand. So
that was the first, excuse me for interrupting, but I believe that was the first review Janet Maslin ever wrote, was Uncle Nate, when is this over? Oh, man.
Yeah. So, but we shot that movie in New Zealand for many weeks, and, you know, like when you shoot on location, especially in some place in a foreign country, when you're just days away from home, you really sort of like, you get to know that cast better than you do when you get to go home to your own house in your own bed.
Yeah.
So we got to know each other really well on that show, and she was great, and we totally hit it off, and we have a great relationship. So when I had the chemistry with her, it was just very easy and fun. And I sat down, she came in, and we chatted for a bit, and the producers were there, and I just was comfortable enough to kind of tell some stories about, because we had the stand-ins for Yogi and Boo Boo. The stand-in for Yogi was just out of acting school in New Zealand, and he was...
Shakespearean?
Well, technically he was #1 on the call sheet. So he carried himself as if he was the star of the movie.
Uh-oh. Mayday.
Yeah. And the producer had to just sort of take him aside, like, you get paid to be tall and to wear a brown shirt every day. That's why you're here, friend.
And oddly, portraying Yogi, or rather Boo Boo for all this, was Danny Devito. No? Did I get that wrong?
Yeah, that's was that on IMDb?
Also, who knew Jellystone Park was in New Zealand. That's pretty spectacular.
Well, we had to shoot
I was fooled.
in the winter.
Sure.
So where do you go? It was Australia. We were going to shoot. The director, who's an amazing, wonderful guy, Eric Brevig, wanted to shoot in outside of San Francisco, like in the redwood forest, like in June. Like a fucking dream.
Yeah.
But the Warner Brothers was like, no, it has to be a Christmas release, so we got to shoot in the winter, so we got to go someplace in December that's in the summer. So that's Australia or New Zealand. Anyway, we're telling stories. And I was telling a story about that, about the stand-in.
Yeah.
And then the boo-boo stand-in was a dwarf, or a little person, I'm sorry, and he had trouble with the drink. Heavy drinker.
Setting his people back 60 years.
Yes. That's all? And the saddest story about him, he would come to work just like, that guy hadn't got 8 hours of sleep, like, in his life. Just walking to work, just the bag is like, and he walked in with this huge, like, just like a gash across his forehead. It's like, Jimmy, man, what happened, man? And he's like, I fell off the bar last night. I fell off the bar. Like, just, he kind of like sloppily had a patch over his...
No one needed that visual.
No. We went out fishing one day. I like rented this boat to go charter fishing. We caught some fish, and we were gonna bring it back to the hotel, and they were gonna cook it, and they were gonna prepare it, and we were gonna eat the fish that we caught. Everyone got fucking bombed. I was the only sober person on this boat.
Because?
Great question. I don't have an answer.
Well, somebody had to drive the boat.
No, the charter guy was driving.
No, so then no.
And he like a half hour into it, he's looking at me. He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me, these people?" Like, well, can I jump off the boat? Can I, casting? It was chaos.
What was Jimmy doing?
Jimmy got so hammered. I caught this great fish, this beautiful trout. Brought it to the hotel to prepare. And I was like, we're gonna eat the fish at 7:30, so come. No one showed. I'm finishing. I'm like half done with the fish. Jimmy walks in at like 8:30. I'm sitting by myself at this restaurant.
Oh my God!
Jimmy walks in, just bleary-eyed. Hey, mate, can I sit down? I can't do a New Zealand accent. He's like, yeah, pull up a chair, man. Sits down, starts eating the fish with his hands. Like, no joke, like off of my plate. And I was like, I wish someone could see what's happening.
Why is this not being filmed?
Anyway, the long story short,
Nope.
The sad part of the story was that he was the only little person in New Zealand not to be cast in the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh.
The only one. Oh. And he's like an actor, like he's been in commercials and some TV, and I just thought that was the fucking saddest story.
Because there's 7,500 of them brought in for the particular.
And I told that story in the room with the producers, and they just died laughing. I was like, I think I have this job.
That was the chemistry read for Mom.
Yeah, with Anna. So and then I just walked out.
Right.
I didn't actually read the
no
words.
Scenes. No scenes. She was laughing at your story.
Right.
And that was enough for them to go, look at this.
This will work. Yeah, they get along.
Look how well they.
Great.
They seem to really care about each other.
Right. Do I sign here? Terrific.
I've got to get you out of here with your heart out. Your time is up, sir.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a little more water as I say goodbye to you.
Thank you.
Because I sense you're a little parched. I want to thank you so much for your time.
What a pleasure. Real fun.
And honestly and truly, a delight to have met you, to have, the last question before the Larry King game that I must ask that was in here was, please describe as honestly as you can your first experience being at my poker table. And we're out of time. All right, now, the Larry King game, quickly, I'm sorry. So we loved when Larry was on the show on the CNN, and he would go to the phones, right? We're taking the call from whatever the city is. But before he would do that, sometimes he would stare down the barrel and share something about himself, adamantly, that no one needed to know.
And you're saying before, keep it out of the gutter.
If now, for the guest, wide open any turf, anything that comes to mind. So here's what you got to do. You got to give me a bad Larry King impression. I don't want a good one, so there's no pressure to do a good one. Bad ones make me laugh harder.
Okay.
And then share something about Larry. It's not about you. You're doing Larry. So share something about Larry. And remember, he, rode a pterodactyl at one point. He's old. And then go to the phones. After you share the thing, go to the phones. And if the name of the city is funny sounding, that doesn't hurt.
Okay.
That's the button.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, yeah. So there's your camera. When you're ready, fire away.
Okay. I spent a men's weekend over Columbus Day weekend with the guys from Car Talk once.
They spoke about the future, and it was bleak. They spoke about robot armies, blood-red skies, and hamburgers made from baby. Oshkosh, you're on.
That's how you play the Larry King game. Those of you sitting at home wondering, how do I do this? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kevin. What a pleasure. I'm going to shake your hand.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Honestly and truly. Please sit there uncomfortably while I wrap things up for the folks at home. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another edition of the Larry King game and the Kevin Pollak Chat Show. I want to thank Dr. Chen and Jamie. Sammy, we missed you. The Josh Negrin and the David Mandel, the Samantha Ward and the Daniel Overland, missing J-Mac and the Sammy to be filled in later. I believe that's it. I did that all correctly. Okay. We'll be possibly back next week, but upcoming guests are very exciting. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to name drop right now. I'm just going to look for the Twitter. Follow our guests too. I am Nate Corddry. Didn't put Nathan. I am Nate Corddry. At all of that on the Twitter. And follow us and do all that stuff and let us know how you do the show. And thanks again very much once again for watching the show. Until next time, and as always, get out of my face.